I've got to pause that. That's too early.
Yeah.
Okay. So official. All right, so let me pull up my slideshow because I'm such a teacher. Hold on. Let's see. Share screen, desktop, share. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah? Okay. All right, so let me just present here. All right, so Power Hour with Nikki Fresh, because that's my new MC now since I'm starting to do weddings. So I'm super pumped. And I figured we'd start with a little quote. Allow yourself to be a beginner because no one starts off being excellent. Why isn't it letting me click? Okay, so before we start and really just talk about anything, we're gonna listen for the first just couple, 30 seconds. And I want everyone to get up, just shake it off. Even if you're not comfortable getting up to dance, just get up, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling?
Head toss, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling? Feeling good as hell. Ooh, child. Tired of the foolish, gone dust your shoulders off. Keep it moving, yes, Lord. Step into some new kicks. In there, swimwear, going to the pool quick. Come now, come dry your eyes. You know you a star, you can touch the sky. I know that it's hard, but you have to try. If you need advice, let me simplify. If he don't love you anymore, just walk your fine out the door. I do my hair talk, check my nails. Baby, how you feel? Hair talk, check my nails. Baby, how you feel? Woo! Baby, how you feel?
All right. I hope everyone's feeling good as hell today. I know I am, even though today was literally insane, but I'm still feeling good. How is everyone today? Everyone's feeling good, happy, stressed? All right, so my first thing I want to do is I want everyone to find a mirror. If you don't have a mirror, I mean, you're looking at yourself on your Zoom, so that's cool too. So I want you to say to yourself, I am beautiful. I am sexy. I am proud of you. I can do anything. I believe in you. I accept myself for who I am. I trust you. I appreciate you. You are in the perfect spot in your life journey and everything will turn out just fine. I am enough. I make a difference to this world. And every breath I take is a new beginning. And I will not allow any negativity in my life. All right, so a little self-love challenge. And I said, I actually did this the other day and it was actually kind of hard. I thought this would be something that's super easy, is to name not one, but 3 things that you love about yourself. So I have a little timer on. I'm just gonna put 2 minutes on the clock. So I want you to write down 3 things that you love about yourself. I'll let you know when the timer's off. Let me put this.
Close my eyes and the flashback starts. I'm standing there on a balcony in summer air. See the lights, see the party, the ball gowns. See you make your way through the crowd and say hello. Little did I know that you were Romeo, you were throwing pebbles in my
All right. So I'll start off by going first real quick. And these are the 3 things that I thought for myself is I love my desire to help people and make everyone smile. I feel things deeply, like whether I'm happy or sad. Sometimes it can be a bad thing, but I feel things so deeply. So like, obviously, I don't know if you've ever seen my Instagram stories. I literally cry over Kung Fu Panda. Like when he makes it out at the end is like, gets what he wants out of life. And my enthusiasm and optimism of life. So would anyone else like to share 3 things that they love about themselves?
I'll share one of my 3.
Okay.
My first one that I put was my willingness to improve.
Oh, I love that.
Thanks.
Amy, do you want to share?
Sure. One of mine was my resilience.
Ooh, which is so perfect because that's what actually we're going to be talking about a lot today.
Oh, awesome.
Anyone else want to share? Hey, Mila. Okay. I see Ashley's driving, so I'm not going to just distract her. All right. So next challenge is, what is one thing that you need more self-love in? So something that maybe that you're hard on yourself for, something that you can improve more in loving yourself. So I'll give you guys an example just in case it's a little confusing. My one thing is learning it is okay to be proud of yourself. Sometimes I think that we tend to like undermine ourselves. Like a perfect example for me was I was teaching a turn-up class, and it wasn't like I wasn't the normal girl who always teaches in the studio. And I had a girl who's never taken turn-up before, and she came up after, and I was like, oh my God, it was your first class. Like, how did you like it? You know, talking to her a little bit. And I was like, oh, you need to come back because the other girl that teaches is so amazing and so awesome. Like I immediately put myself down as if I just wasn't like good enough almost, which is like such a habit I feel like that we all do sometimes. But does anyone have one off the top of their head?
I'll go, but if they're screaming kids, like fair warning.
Totally cool.
For me, I've learned that like I need to be more compassionate with myself. I'm a very compassionate person to other people, but when it comes to myself, I'm so hard on myself in that aspect.
Which is, I feel like honestly, we can all relate to that because I feel like that we all do that. It's like the qualities that we want to bring out in other people. Sometimes we don't practice them enough with ourselves.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I totally agree with that. Anybody else want to share something that they need more self-love in?
I think mine would be trusting myself more. I think I see things like from everything has 2 sides. So I think I'm almost like too open-minded. So sometimes it's like hard to trust my gut.
Yeah, which is, I feel like another common thing that we all have, because it's like you feel like you want to listen to yourself, but I feel like it's always when we don't listen to that gut instinct or that gut feeling, no matter what it is, I feel like that's always like a lesson learned. It's like, I should have done that, or I could have done that. But it's like, when you're in that, like you're stuck in there, you just keep going back and forth. Like the 2 little people on your shoulders, like, should I do it? Should I not? But it's like, what, you should trust yourself. Sorry guys, if you guys hear I have my animals and they're going crazy right now. Okay, that's what went along with what I was saying before about being proud of yourself. So my whole thing is, what is your why? And this is so crazy. So when I first started, we had our teacher back to school training for like the first week of school. And I actually never thought like one of those meetings would actually really resonate. I think that's the word. Oh my God, I'm a teacher, I should know this. Should really resonate in me. But at the beginning of every morning, at the end of each night, this is what you need to come back to. And it was so crazy because even in her presentation, and this is after 8 years of teaching, which I had so many crazy schools, so many crazy teaching experiences. But this school that I'm in, my principal is, I feel like, just so amazing. And she's so real, and she's just like a happy person, and all about just doing what you love and you being happy as a person first. And I think this is so important. Like, we always need to remember our why, no matter what we do, whether you're doing Q Sciences, whether you have another, whatever you're doing in your job, you need to remember your why. So even if you don't like where you're at, you need to change it. And it might not happen right away, but I feel like that it's taking me a long time to finally like come out of my shell, and not in a way that I'm not shy, I'm very outgoing, but I feel like I was staying stuck somewhere for a really long time because I was so scared of not being comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when I started, my why when I started joining Q is, I told you guys, I mean, I've had a bad experience with Arbonne, and I told you, I swear I was never doing a network marketing again. I was like, this is not for me. Absolutely not. I'm done. So then when I started seeing posts and stuff, you know, the people I follow, and again, Mila, who I became friends with through TurnUp, and I was like, you know, I've never heard of Q Sciences, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Just, you know, it's another one of the network marketing companies. And then I like couldn't stop watching things, and I was like, for some reason I had this pull to it, and I was like, Nicole, do it. But then it was like other part of me was like, just no, don't do it. You already had a bad experience. So it was like, all right now I'm a teacher. I'm also a waitress. I also am working weddings now. And I dress up as a Disney princess too for kids' birthday parties, which isn't bad. It's kind of fun, but my goal is to create this awesome life for myself. I have such big dreams and visions, and I want to travel. There's so many things that I want to do in life. I want to pay off my student loans. I want to live so comfortably where I'm not working 100 jobs, and I actually get to spend more quality time at home. Like, you know, me and my husband just got married, and it's like, we're so busy all the time, and I feel like I'm never home ever. I'm just always working. So that's my why. So I feel like that, you know, not everyone has to share their personal reasons, and you're obviously more than welcome to, but your why is so important. And I feel like you're going to you have days where you're like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I know you want to give up. You have to remember your why, because that's going to keep you going. What you're saying before is resilience. Now, this is what I thought was so important. There's the 6 domains of resilience. So you have collaboration, you have vision, you have tenacity, you have health, you have reasoning, and you have composure. These 6 things are so important. I was in school looking at this. And when I was in school looking at this presentation, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, this is exactly what Q Sciences is all of these 6 things. So I feel like a modern definition of resilience is advancing despite adversity. So you have goal orientation when you're working towards your vision. You have to be proactive. Don't wait for adversity. And you're gonna come across both large and small everyday challenges. All right, so I don't know if you guys ever heard of her name, Brené Brown. And I'm gonna show you a clip of a video in a couple of minutes. But she does this whole presentation, and it was, again, this was all about school, but for some reason, it just hit me so deep. She asks, and she talks about being vulnerable. And let me just move this out of the way because I can't. She asks, how many of you were raised to look at vulnerability as a weakness? After the audience all raises their hand, she says, there has not been one piece of data that shows a single, that shows a single example of courage that was not completely defined by vulnerability. And she says, can you think of one courageous thing that you have ever seen or heard about in your life that did not require vulnerability, uncertainty, risk, emotional exposure? But we hate vulnerability because that allows us to feel disappointment, shame, and hurt. So we armor up. However, vulnerability is also the center of love, joy, and belonging, which I was like, wow, that was like super powerful because it's so true. And I feel like the things that we feel vulnerable the most to end up being the most courageous things that you do. So I just want to show you this short little clip. Let me just, admit. And I'll let you know how it relates to Q after, because you're gonna be like, what is she showing me? But
armor up like that. Not only is vulnerability certainly the center of these experiences, it's also the center of these. Love and belonging and joy. No vulnerability, no love, no belonging, no joy. What do you think is the most vulnerable human affect we experience?
Do you guys, what would your guess be? What is that most vulnerable, why can't I say this word? Vulnerable human affect that you feel?
Is it self-doubt?
Could be, spit it out, girl.
No, I said, is it self-doubt?
Oh yeah, and you'll see it.
Oh, you're not telling us the answers right now.
No, like just think about it to yourself, because I was like wrong.
Okay.
Like what? Like this is super interesting.
What's the hardest emotion for us to handle as humans? Joy. How many of you are parents? How many of you have ever stood over your child while they're sleeping and thought, oh my God, I love you like so much I can't breathe. And then in that split second, pictured something horrific happening to your child. How many of you have done that? It should be 95% of you. And this is a perfect example of that. Many years ago, when I first was studying this concept of foreboding joy, this fear we have about being joyful, I was on date night with my husband, and we come home and I see the light still on the kids' bedroom. I'm like, circle the block till they're tucked in, circle the block. So we get some like TCBY yogurt or something. We come back, everyone's tucked in. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. Let's go. And I remember we parked our car on the curb by our house, and we're walking in, and the song on the radio when we got out of the car was like one of my favorite songs, Little River Band. Dreaming song like, Friday night, it was late, I was walking you home, we got down to the gate, and I was dreaming of the night. And I remember like, oh my God, this is like amazing. And we were holding hands. I go, oh my God. And she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, do you ever think like someone's gonna jump out from behind the bushes and shoot us down? And he's like, no. Did you see somebody? And I said, no, I'm just saying, like when things are going really well, you're waiting for like that to happen. Yes or no? And he's like, no. And I was like, yeah, because here's the thing. I would hope the babysitter would come out and like move us so the kids didn't find us. And he's like,
okay, so I just wanted to show that main part. But why it just hit me so hard is because I do this all the time too. Even with my dog, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I like kiss him. I'm like, I love you so much. And then in the second, I'm like, oh my God, one day, like what if something ever happened to you? I wouldn't be able to exist without you. Like that's how much I love my dog. But I feel like that my whole point about this is that I feel like are so afraid of fear, so afraid of joy, because we rehearse these tragedies so we can beat vulnerability to the punch. So for example, even with Q, right? So before, like if you feel vulnerable and if you're not getting where you want to be, or you're like, say if you go like this whole time, like right now I'm new still. And I'm in the process of, have I sold a ton of products? No. Have I built this whole team with me? No, not yet. But I'm not rehearsing tragedy because I know I'm going to get there, right? I am allowing myself to feel that joy that I know that I'm going to experience from this, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to fail. What if I fail? And I could think of all the reasons why I'm not going to get there. And it literally, we have to convince ourselves of this every day, because there's sometimes where I'm like, all right, what am I doing? And I'm like, I can't do this. But then I immediately stop myself when I get in that moment and I say, no, I can. So I feel like that you need to allow yourself to feel that joy and be confident in it. And you have to believe it, because if you don't believe it, nobody else will. So I feel like that's my biggest thing, is that I feel like that I was constantly doing this, and this video just hit me hard. And it's like, you do rehearse tragedy. You rehearse in your head all the things that can go wrong, just so you cannot feel that disappointment when if it does. So again, you may be thinking, why does she show us this video? What does it have to do with business? And I said, so my first thing is, when you first heard about Q Sciences and network marketing, how did you feel and what were your thoughts? I know some people might be new to Q Sciences or network marketing in general, which is totally cool, but there's some people out there who have had bad experiences with network marketing. And, a lot of them were similar. A lot of them was like, even when I did Arbonne, I'm actually mortified. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know how people even responded to me, because I was just so scripted. And I was literally, the people that I have not even ever talked to, I'm like, oh, I literally sent the same message. And it was from that video, the first video I ever watched from Q Sciences. I was like, oh my God, that was me. That was me. I did the same thing as that guy. So, I feel like that you might be experiencing fear, or you might be experiencing excitement, but either way, run with the excitement. Let that fear drive you. Or when you first heard that you had to, you know, message people and post pictures on social media, how did you feel? Does anyone want to share about how they felt or how they felt when even the first joined Q Sciences?
I will go. Because I feel like now I talk a lot of my stories. And in the beginning, it was so awkward. It was so embarrassing because all I could think of, honestly, and this is so pathetic, was like 5 people from my town who were watching and are like, oh my God, she's so stupid. Like, what is she thinking? Blah, blah, blah. But then I did switch my mindset and I was thinking, like, I don't want those people anyway. So they're going to probably make fun, like, regardless if I'm posting about Q or anything, they're not going to like support me. They're just watching. But what about the people that could benefit from this opportunity? Like, those are the people that I'm talking to. And once I switched that mindset, I feel like every day is a new day. Like, whoever I'm reaching. Maybe it's the right person. Maybe it's people that are just scrolling by, but like, it's not going to affect me because if I stop, and Chandler, you always say this, like, if you're not posting and active, your store is closed. There's no business to be, like, nobody's going to find you. Nobody's seeking you out. Nobody's seeking me out for health and wellness products. Like, that's not happening. So I have to be the one to vocalize how special I think it is for other people to see it.
What you're using. And that, and yeah, it is awesome. And honestly, even to listening to Jake, when I watched the recording, and he said too, it's not about the products. People aren't going to want to come to you just for the products. People are not going to want to come to you just for sciences. It's all about building relationships and being like how you're posting about your leaders, right? So I feel like it's all about, like, even too, I feel like that I've noticed the most is that I may be obviously going slow, but I'm building these relationships with people that I haven't talked to ever, people who are just reaching out to me, and it's become a daily thing. So like I had this girl reach out to me who I've seen a couple times at a dance class, and she was going through this really hard time, and she just happened to message me and said, how do you stay so confident? And I was like, whoa, I'm like, maybe I am making a difference to someone. So even though people might not be responding to you all the time, you are making a difference. So someone, you know, whatever you're doing as your job, whether you're a mom, stay-at-home mom, whether you're a nurse, whether you had a bad day at work, a good day at work, and you're sharing with these people, people are listening. They might not respond, but the more you keep posting, they are listening. Because I feel like timing is really everything. And I feel like that relationships are key to anything. And I'm starting to learn that, you know, full force. And I said, I'm not getting frustrated when, you know, people aren't, you know, answering my polls, or, you know, 2 out of like 1,000 people, but I know there's a greater outcome. And I know that the relationships I'm building is what's going to help me. You know, to me, my gut, like, I feel that I might have a slow start, but I feel like when I do expand, it's going to be like good. Like, I feel like it's going to be like a good one. So, you know, it's just obviously, again, remaining the confidence and posting and, you know, whatnot. Does anyone have any questions about posting, or, you know, how they feel when they post on social media, or do they get discouraged? Because I know sometimes it's like awkward at first. You're like, oh my God, like, why did I just post about that? Like, no one really cares. People do care though. I feel like everyone on here is like, so like, you know, good with posting and whatnot, but, or my next thing was, how did you feel when you started hearing the no's, or I'm not interested, or is even marketing or even like network marketing is a scam? I feel like that you get those people that say, oh, it's a whole pyramid, you know, scheme. And that's why I try to, like, you know, when people do talk to me about it, I'm realistic with them. And I don't tell them, hey, listen, guess what? You're going to join this company, and two weeks from now, you're going to be making thousands of dollars. Like, to me, it's not about that. Like, I see these girls on there who come to me for advice, and I say, you know what? I'm like, you not for Q Sciences, but being part of the community. That's what Q Sciences is about. So it's like these girls who, you know, the girl who messaged me with the confidence and who she's going through a really hard time right now. I'm like, you need to be part of this community. Like, it will just uplift you in so many ways, not just for Q, you know? So I'm like, the community, I feel like here is so different than anything I've ever experienced. When I was with Arbonne, and this is not putting Arbonne down at all. So, you know, like I said, I still use some of their products, but I never had this. You know, it was really just kind of me, here's your business and you're on your own. Like, I didn't have, and they had these random calls and stuff, but you never felt part of a family. Like, I didn't feel like, I just felt like a small person on like a meeting. I didn't feel important. So I'm like, when you have these meetings with Q, you truly feel like a family. You feel like you can text anyone at any time of the day. And, you know, sometimes we'll talk about Q, and other times we'll just talk about life and make jokes. And, you know, and even too, sometimes I get, you know, I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but sometimes like I'm so busy throughout the day, especially now with teaching, I go to look at my Telegram and I'm like, oh my God, what did I miss out? I miss out so much. And I'm like, I can't keep up with it. So then I'll text, you know, Milo or something, be like, what did I miss? Anything important? But, you know, I think that the biggest thing that you could possibly doing to grow, I feel like your business is building a relationship. And like I said, whether it's a slow process or, you know, it takes a little bit more time, I feel like it's consistency. Consistency is key to everything. And I feel like when you're hitting that point where you feel like you want to give up, and that's when you kind of start like slacking off. There was that one podcast, and I swear I'm going to shut up soon because feel like I have so many thoughts, and sometimes I'm like the road runner and I just like mumble over my words because I think so much and I want to get it all out. But this one podcast I love that guy, Andy Frisella, like he's my favorite. But he was talking about how like when you get satisfaction from something, or like he gave like the example of like, you know, working out, and like you're like, okay, well I just worked out all week, so I'm gonna go eat a box of donuts, or like, you know, you want to reward yourself with those things, which is okay to do. Like you can still reward yourself when you know, obviously, you know, work out and you want, you know, to treat yourself to something. But the whole point is to not fall back on your accomplishments. Like don't feel like because you made it here, now you can kind of like slowly drift back. Like keep pushing forward, because what got you here, if you stay and keep that same motivation, then you're going to get here, and it's going to start following this whole chain reaction, if that makes sense.
I wanted to answer that question and be vulnerable for a second. Yeah. The question I was reading, and it says, how did you feel when you started hearing the no's? Well, today I had someone message me from our team and tell me that she was quitting. And this is not the first person that has quit on me. I guess not on me. That's the wrong way to put it, but on Q and on her business. And I will tell you that if I do have a lot of people at this point and we have a huge team, but if I were to tell you that didn't bother me, I'd be lying. Even losing one person really hurts me. Like it hurts my heart. And I had to literally say out loud to myself, that's not going to get me down. One person quitting is not going to get me down. I'm going to keep going. And I have to retrain my brain sometimes. Like when you hear a no, to me, I've been in this long enough that a no in someone that's interested doesn't affect me as much as somebody joining and quitting, because I take that personal. I feel like I didn't do enough to help them succeed or see the light. But you have to double down. Like I have to switch in my brain. And that's what I had to say out loud to myself and kind of like fake it till I made it. Like I had to say, this is not going to get me down. I'm going to double down, and I'm going to get somebody else on the team to replace that person. And they're going to be even better. And that person doesn't exist yet, but they will. And so I will tell you that sting never goes away. But that I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I feel like that was an interesting thing. I have to jump for an 8:30 call, but I also wanted to say, you just exposed your energy and your enthusiasm. And I can't believe we've been missing this whole time since you've been on the team. So you can't go back now. You need to do more calls. Like I swear this is special. Even if you do like 15-minute calls where you just share this energy in this type of workshop, but this is where it's at. It's not about doing the business all the time. It's about growing as people, and you're teaching that right now. And I couldn't be more grateful to be on your team. Like, I'm like, dang, he's my teammate. This is so cool. And so I need to have a little chat with you, because you just got yourself another little job. Add it to the list. Yes. But thank you so much for taking the time. And I'm so sorry I have to jump, but I will catch the rest of the recording.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Yeah, and I promise I won't keep you guys. I know it's already 8:30, but I just want to, say this. And I honestly, what Chandler just said was awesome, because I feel like they do sting. Like, I feel like even too, like, how many times do you ever post a poll and no one answers? And I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, and I'm like, it says 0. Like, I'm like, out of 400, like all these people that look at my story, I'm like, no one said like yes. Or people will click when I'll say like, oh, look at the video, and I'll send them the video and I'll send a message with it, and I don't hear anything back. And I keep telling myself every day, like, I just put even to like right now, like, I'm just going to share something like, obviously with you. When I was even for teaching, my first job as a teacher, I feel like when all my friends were getting teaching jobs, my first job as a teacher, I worked at a private Jewish school. They cut people at the end of the year. I got cut. I took another job at a Catholic school. I took that job. It was making no money. Like literally, like I'm not kidding. My paychecks were, I could have made like more doing anything. Like my paychecks were terrible. So I was like, how am I even going to afford this? Whatever. Then I go to a charter school in Newark, which I was driving an hour and a half to every single day. The hours were long. They were like from like 7 to like 4:30, sometimes 5:30 at a school. The school shut down, lost my job there. Then I worked at a maternity position in a school where there was only one teacher per grade level. I got cut from that because there was no openings. Then I took a job at my hometown, and I've never felt, I know it sounds terrible, but one of the principals here was horrible to me. She made me feel horrible as a teacher, as a person. Like, I don't know what it was about this lady, but she just sucked the life out of me. And I feel like I was like, I'm done with teaching. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, I know I'm a good teacher because I don't just care about the curriculum and the material. Like, to me, it's more about making these kids feel like they're family, teaching these kids the importance of life and, values that they're going to take with them forever. So anyway, that I got fired, fired pretty much, released from that job. Then I couldn't find a job, so I worked at a substitute, right? And this was me like trying to make ends meet. Like, I literally was working so many jobs. Then I worked at a school in Trenton last year, which I loved my staff. It was great. But this school where I'm working now, I finally, after 8 years, just got my dream teaching job after 8 years. I'm like, even at back to school night, I'm like, I'm in Dr. Seuss land. Like, how does this exist? Like, how did I get here? But as stupid as it sounds, like I had like this epiphany. I'm like, wow, those 8 years of me like pushing through and, struggling and wanting to give up, I didn't. And I'm like, I finally got what I want. So I'm like, I know that each and every one of you, I know that we all go through these kind of feelings and emotions, and it's a roller coaster, but do not give up. If you have these dreams and these visions and these goals, stay committed to them because you can do it. Like, I'm not kidding. I still have goals of being on SNL, like, and being an actress. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I saw Netflix is hosting these like things online now. So I'm probably going to go apply for it. But follow your dreams because honestly, you have one life. And another thing is people will forget what you said. This is my favorite quote. People forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel ever. Like, I stand by this quote. This is my favorite quote ever. And I take this with me everywhere I go, and I live by this quote. Again, relationships are key to performance, not ability. And so again, I hope everyone enjoyed this presentation. I'm sorry I blabbered on. I honestly wanted.
Nicole, I'm so excited.
Oh my God. Does anyone want to share anything? Like, does anyone feel vulnerable right now, or did they feel vulnerable at all throughout this experience? Q in general.
I'm just so proud of you. You're the best.
Oh, thanks, girl. Well, I hope that as people took away something from this. I'm sorry again. I hope next time I won't blab as much, and I'll try to make it, shorter and to the point. But thank you guys all for coming. And, feel free to ever message me or just chat with me. I will try to obviously answer as soon as I can. During these school hours are freaking crazy now, but yeah. I'm so excited to be a part of having you guys being a part of your guys' team, and honestly, this opportunity. And we're gonna grow, and we're gonna get somewhere. You just gotta believe in yourself and the team. All right, guys, have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. Hello. Oh my God. And honestly, like, I was definitely blabbing, but I was just wanting to get so much out. So yeah. No, that was definitely fun. And I'm happy I did it. It was fun.